Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. Got something special for you. We have Dr. Eugene Williams. He's an English professor and is dealing with the President of the United States. Words, words, words. If you don't know words, then you can't make it. Welcome aboard there, Doctor.
It's so good to be here today. And you know why it's good? Better than other days. Tonight I will listen to the President of the United States of America, President Barack Obama, give his acceptance speech. It was some years ago, Ed, that in my classroom we were studying the President in his book, The Audacity of Hope. We were also discussing the I Have a Dream speech. We were going to have fun with that, and I discovered that many of my students could not pronounce some of the words in those documents, nor could they pronounce the words. And so I said, in my professorial voice, we have a problem. And one little fella in the back of the classroom raised his hand and said, yes, Dr. Williams, we do have a problem. But Dr. Williams, if you would teach us the words in those documents through word searches, then we will learn them. Well, that excited me. You know, a student,
Right down your alley.
yeah, a student in the back of the classroom saying, we will learn if you do word searches. I had never taught word searches in my class before. I didn't consider that important, but a student advised me to do that. And I thought long and hard, driving from home to work every day, should I do word searches with this class? And then one day, the Holy Spirit came to me and said, yes, do a word search book. Do a book on Barack Obama. Well, at that point in time, he was just a senator, but he was running for the presidency of the United States of America. And I got very, very busy. And I did my research on Barack Obama. I found him to be a very, very important person. I found words that described him, like decisive, like courageous, like steadfast, like likable. I found words. And then I said, with these words, I'm going to make word searches. But that wasn't enough. After the word searches, I said, let's do some word charts. Because students very often can do the word searches easily, but they don't know the meanings of the words sometimes when they find them through the word search. So we did that. And lo and behold, this thing became an idea for a book on Barack Obama. Now, we didn't know at that time that he was going to become president. He had a lot of competition. We didn't even care. We just wanted to do this book on this man. And we did it. We thought that it would just be a book that you'd find in the local bookstores. But this book now, Ed, is found all over the world.
Is
It's
that
all
right?
over the world.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah, we're very excited about it. And I have shared this book with the Washington Post. They have written about it. With USA Today, with the Baltimore Sun, with almost every paper in the United States of America, even on Associated Press. I've been on television to discuss it, Channel 9. I've been here a couple times to discuss it.
Right.
And we're just having fun with this book because young people need a book like Words Crossing Across, Word Search on Barack Obama. Our youngsters don't have the vocabulary that they need. And this book is designed to give them that vocabulary and to teach them to improve their reading, their writing, their speaking, and their verbal scores on exams like the SAT.
Oh yeah, that's
It is a
very important.
fantastic book, and I'm really bragging about it. But I'm probably bragging, feeling strong about it, Mr. Barack Obama, more than the book, you know, because he is the person who gave,
Motivated.
who motivated us
Right.
to do this book. And the great thing about it, while we don't see it here today, we are doing a similar book like that on First Lady Michelle Obama.
Is that right?
Oh, it's going to be a knockout. It's
Yes.
different from the book that we did on the president. You will find in this book 4 sections. One for little kids who will say things like, Mrs. Obama is cool. Mrs. Obama is friendly. And then you will see what the teenagers are saying about Mrs. Obama. Then you'll see what the middle-aged people are saying about her. And lastly, you'll see what the evolutionary elders are saying about this great lady, Mrs. Michelle Obama, the wife of our president. And so the book is moving now. It's on Facebook. It's on Twitter. It's everywhere. And we're just so excited about it. And youngsters, I'm giving this book away. Anytime I see a youngster, I want to improve his or her
that right?
vocabulary, I give them a book. And I say to all of those people out there looking at the show, give a kid a needy book.
Hey,
Give
that's
a
a
kid
great
a needy
idea.
book. And discuss it with the children as well.
That's a very good idea because the way that electronics is today, everybody has an iPad and everything, and the kids get the electronics, and what they do, they sit there for hours, playing the game, the electronic game,
Right.
but they wouldn't take that same time for a book.
Yes, that's true.
See, and what they really, I mean, with electronics, you're learning something that's a new fad, but with the book, it's totally different because you have a tendency to absorb
Yes.
more when you read
Yes.
than you do when you have electronic. You have the iPad, you have all these different things, and the kids just sit there and push buttons, and you go through a lot of animated items,
Yes.
which don't stick with the youngsters. And they really have a difficult time knowing the meaning and why something has happened electronically. If they would take time to read, and this, anytime you read, you increase your vocabulary. See, because
Yes.
there's some words. Okay, if it's you're gonna reach a point where you're not familiar with the word. Well, that means you have to do some research.
Right.
When you do the research, you even open it up more.
Well, you know, and my students on the high school level as well as on the college level, they're having fun. But you know who else is having fun, Ed?
Yeah.
Evolutionary elders. A lot of older people like puzzles like this.
Yes.
And they like, they're sitting around with not much to
Invigorating.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
It stimulates their mind.
Stimulates their mind. Right.
Senior citizens, evolutionary elders, whatever you want to call yourself, they are using this book and they are enjoying it. And they are learning what? They're also learning about President Barack Obama.
It
They're
gives
learning
them
his
history.
characteristics. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They're learning the characteristics of this great man.
So, in doing this, the book on Michelle, what is it? You're dealing with the youngsters first, and then the senior citizens. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, certainly. I have been going around. How did I get these youngsters to participate? I would meet them in the street, and I would say to them, what do you know about Mrs. Barack Obama? Tell me what you know. And I've heard them say, she is nice like my mother. They say she is just, you know, helpful. She is kind.
Mm.
And when they spoke, I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
I would go also to the teenagers and I would ask them. And then I would go on college campuses and I would
Mm-hmm.
ask the students, what do you think? They gave me words, and the senior citizen words are beautiful as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Mrs. Barack Obama is one of the, if not the most, one of the most important women in America. And everybody loves her.
Mm-hmm.
When I asked them about Mrs. Obama, not one person described her negatively.
Is that right?
Everything was positive.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me feel very good because that's the way I feel, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the way many people feel in America.
Mm-hmm.
That she's a very positive lady, and she's inspiring. She's motivating. She's
Mm-hmm.
just a lady that everybody admires.
So, and doing your research, I know you named a few places. I know that you've been around in this area here, this the Washington metropolitan area, and they were telling me that a gray-haired gentleman was out there talking about words
Hmm.
at one of the local. Department stores. I want to name
Oh
and
yes,
and
yes.
I think you were involved with that, and they had pictures of you outside this particular department store, and
Yes.
the crowd was around. And I viewed you had a photographer there, and I viewed some of the pictures,
Oh.
and some of the pictures you had individuals of all color, of
Hmm.
all races, and all levels. You had the senior citizens stop and talk to you. The youngsters, they stopped it. I think the youngsters thought you were, but you gave some of the youngsters, especially teenagers, the book. The
Oh
older
yes.
people, they responded, but
Yes.
they
Yes.
weren't as excited
Oh,
as the younger
that
people.
is true.
Now,
That is true.
did you find that?
Oh yes, I
Mm,
found that to be true, and they were literally saying, "Give me a book,
mm-hmm,
give me a book." I said, "I'm going to give you this book only if you're going to take this book home,
mm-hmm,
and you and your mother and father would sit down and discuss these words."
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And I'd ask them all kinds of questions. What do you know about Mrs. Obama?
mm-hmm.
And they sometimes they would come up with um, funny things like
Yeah.
she's cool,
Yeah, all
but they were all
right.
positive.
Oh, right.
And I said, you can have this book when it comes out, and you certainly can have the book on Mr. Barack Obama
Mm-hmm.
now. You know, I also did a book on LeBron James like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do, and these books are printed by my nonprofit organization, Academic Resources Unlimited.
Is that right?
So if anybody wants to see this book, they can go to
Mm-hmm.
academicresourcesunlimited.org.
Mm-hmm.
Or they
Mm-hmm.
can go, as I said, to my Facebook
Mm-hmm.
or to Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
The book is everywhere now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
And it's the
Congratulations on
beginning
that.
of a
Mm.
series.
Now, speaking of books, English and things of that nature, Bowie State has a beautiful $70 million culture arts center
Mm.
that they are going to open. They haven't named it yet.
Hmm.
Maybe that you're being in the arts of the English, that you would get Dr. Berman, the president there. You all get together and let the youngsters get involved in naming that culture arts center. It's fantastic. I went visiting there 2 days ago,
Hmm.
and it's right on the front of the campus of Bowie State,
Hmm.
and it's really fantastic. And I was wondering, w- Art Center, in relationship to your
Hmm.
book, maybe they could put on a skit there.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, concerning reading and the things that you've done
Hmm.
on the line that the kids, the youngsters, whether they're on college age or
Hmm.
elementary age, they could portray that book, since it's all over.
Oh,
You know,
yes,
is
yes,
something,
yes.
because reading is so very important. If
Mm-hmm.
you can't read, it's difficult for you to understand a lot of things. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and in our society, and quite often, if you can't read too, people take advantage of you. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and it really, reading is so very, very important. I don't care if you're going to the moon or whether you're just going out and getting a newspaper to read yourself. That's the backdrop. If you're going to understand a problem, just like your wife is involved with mathematics
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature, and in order for the youngsters to really understand the algebra and the calculus and things, they have to know how to read.
They have to know
See,
how to read.
now the other thing now, are you involved in symbolizing the in reading? Generally, you there's a symbol involved. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I don't, but I tell you, Ed, where I want this book to go.
Mm-hmm.
I want this book to go in schools. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
have donated
Mm-hmm.
books to schools in this county, in Prince George's County, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one elementary school that's named for Mr. Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm. Where is that located?
That's over near Brown Station Road.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice, I mean, it's a beautiful school, brand new school.
Mm-hmm.
And when I found out that they were opening, I took books over there.
Is that
Oh
right?
yes, oh yes.
Oh, great.
Because this, I have a passion for
Mm-hmm.
words, and I have a passion for reading, and our youngsters just don't have what they need.
Mm-hmm.
And if this book will help them, then I want them to have the book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason I say to people like you and like me,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't like word searches, give the book to a needy child
Mm-hmm.
because they like to do the word searches because it's competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, that's what I was thinking. You had a chart in which you were showing the
hmm
different syllables and things. How do you actually energize the youngsters to want to do that?
well, it's
What is the reward that youngsters are always looking for some reward for doing something. You know what I mean?
yes. Well, it's easy. I give them little prizes from time to time. But mostly I say to them, look, do you want to be like a Barack Obama?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be eloquent? Do
Mm-hmm.
you want to be articulate?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be like Mrs. Michelle Obama?
Mm-hmm.
I said, you see how well she speaks and all that? Don't you want to be like that? And usually when I ask them those questions, they say, yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
In my school program, before I left the county as a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
I had Mr. Barack Obama's pictures all over the place, and
Mm-hmm.
they would come in, and that would excite them,
Mm-hmm.
just as if they were there with the president. They wanted to be like the president,
Mm-hmm.
and who doesn't?
Yeah, terrific example. Now, on the age line, now, what did you find? What age bracket did you find was more responsive?
The the teenagers,
Teenagers,
the teenagers.
the ones that
Yes,
are
yes,
out there trying to decide
yes.
what field of
Trying,
education that they were going
and
in.
those who are just trying to get through reading it,
Mm-hmm.
because many of them they just don't know vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the way many times we find our youngsters speaking.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Language is sluggish. They
Yeah,
don't
and
really care.
slang.
Slang, using
Well,
slang.
that's one thing that is, and as far as English and breaking down syllables and pronunciation of words, that generally the youngsters they have difficulty with that. And with your chart, you did this. You broke down the syllables and pronunciation of the word. But what happens is that I would say in other environments, probably at home, at school, the slang, they pick it up just like that.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And unfortunately, many of them hear their parents using that same slang. That's the reason when I go around, I say to parents, here's a book. for your child, please spend some time with the child and discuss the words with the child. And I'm saying now, Ed, because there's no pronunciation key in it.
Right.
All you need
Yeah.
is, do you have a smartphone? You have the dictionary.com application. After they see the word, touch the key and they'll hear the pronunciation of the word.
Now, how could the electronics get involved in this? How could that be helpful in what you're trying to achieve as far as word search and the youngsters really getting into the different way of pronouncing words?
Well, we're investigating right now a way of doing applications, apps, the students call it,
Yeah, well,
for learning these words.
well,
Yeah,
that's the new word
that's the
now.
new, yes,
The new word
yes,
is apps.
yes.
My grandson, they said, "Grandpa, you got to have an app for this." I said, "Apps," and a lot of parents don't understand the word app and is application and
Yes, yes.
applying how apps apply to anything that you want to really investigate. You
Yes.
get an app for it, and then look, this is where electronics come in, and the kids, they associate that with the iPad and
Yes,
things
they
of that
do.
nature, and
Yes, they
they
do.
love to do research.
They love it. They love it.
If you can develop an app for reading, how do you do that?
Well, I turn it over to programmers.
Okay.
I'm right now working with a programmer who knows how to develop the apps. I give him the book, then he'll come back with a program. And
For apps,
yes,
for
for
reading.
apps. And then we'll have that out in the market soon.
Is that
Oh
right?
yes, oh yes. It's coming.
Oh,
It's
great.
coming.
That's
It's coming.
that's fantastic to have that, because see, the reason I say that, because the youngsters, they, as far as the electronics, they're attracted to that now,
Yes, yes.
and if in fact you get apps for the reading aspects of it, and I'm sure that your wife in mathematics,
Yes, yes,
because
yes.
a lot of people shy away from both of those. They are reading, what they say, reading, writing, and arithmetic. But what I'm just saying is that that's a good program to develop. I have apps
We're going to do it.
so youngsters, and you're working with technicians on
Oh
that now.
yes. Oh, programmers, they're
The
just great.
the
I gave the
programmers.
books the other night to a programmer, and he said, "I think we can develop some apps for your book." And I said, "Wow,
Wow,
exactly what I want."
that's
Yes, yes.
fantastic.
Because some students don't like picking up a book.
You're right. That's exactly. But they'll pick up the iPad or whatever electronic gizmo. They'll pick that up
Right.
because they can associate it with it. But what about the senior citizen now?
Oh,
How do you get?
I want to get involved in that because a young person told me, he said, "Well, Dr. Williams, old people like word searches." We call them old people.
Right.
Old people like word searches.
Right.
And I hadn't even thought about
Yeah.
it, really. I
Right.
hadn't thought about it. But I want to say something to parents out there. Parents, get busy. Teach your kids, work with your kids, help your kids learn words. And what better man
For
can you learn these
example,
words from than from the President of the United
United
States
States.
of America?
Right.
Isn't that great?
Is-
Or from the First Lady,
Mm-hmm.
First Lady Michelle Obama. That will really, really, well, you ask what will motivate them to do that. I
Yeah.
think, yeah,
Yeah.
that will motivate them.
That could be one of the motivations.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
And really, if parents, and in developing the electronic approach to it, what they have to realize is that the parents themselves, they have to really expose the
yes,
youngsters
yes.
to things like, whereas they spend the money for the electronic gizmo, and when the apps come for words and reading, they should be doing the same thing. Exposure, and
I,
see.
I'll tell you one thing. once these youngsters learn these words, they will want to go back to slang.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I say to them, you don't need to go back there.
Mm-hmm.
And many of them saying, I won't
Mm-hmm.
go back
Mm-hmm.
to slang. I like that. I like that.
Is that right?
Yes.
Right. That's
Yes.
now. How do you think that this can be conveyed? You think the best thing is to uh, introduce it to the various departments of education,
Oh, yes.
and have it so that it's not just a local thing; it's a worldwide thing.
Yeah, well, you know, when I first published this book, I gave a copy to each council person and each school board member.
Yeah, well, what about the new interim school board, Dr. Causey?
Well, he's going to get a copy.
He's going to get a copy.
Oh, yeah, he's going to get a
Okay,
copy.
hey, this has been Ed Brown, and once again, we had Dr. Eugene Williams here. He's doing a fantastic job with the apps for reading. Reading is so important, as we all know. Boy, if you can't read, boy, you in bad shape. And you youngsters out there, next time your mother want to buy you something, tell her to give you one of those apps for reading. Once again, Dr. Williams, congratulations, and I'll see you next time.